Now let me introduce our next speaker. This is Dorin Iacob from Romania. He is a leading entrepreneur, politician, and TV talk show host. And I invite him to take the podium.
Okay, I'm the former communist in the building, but I grew up. For me, it's amazing to be today here, to show those two flags on the table and talking about this. If someone in 90s tell me after the communism it's gonna happen this, I say probably it's a science fiction movie. Alien come on the planet, and we people must be talking about freedom. Because we don't talk about China here, we don't talk about North Korea here, we talk about us, our country. It's unbelievable for me, the young one, when the communists collapse. But here we are. I was born in a communist country in '60. Obviously, this was not my choice. However, I chose to become an economic police officer. However, I was forced to be a member of the Communist Party, but I did not want to be, and I did not like it. I analyzed and I tried to understand in those years how communism was created and was implemented in the 20th century in the world, but especially in my country. I don't know if I will surprise you or not, but the police profession, and especially the economic police profession, have put us in a position to know all the strata of society. Like that, all of us could notice how not natural communism was related to the traditional values of the society, with the cultural ones, with the religious ones, even those related to individual needs. Communists did not give what people naturally needed, but pretended to know better what the people and society needed and give that to them. So we had the chance to observe what is not good, what is not natural. Communism was artificially implemented in the countries of Central and Eastern Europe. After the Second World War by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was already stabilized in communism for several decades and was, at that dramatic moment in history, the privileged partner of the Western force, and that together defeat Nazism. In 1990, the Western countries again abandoned Romania in the zone of influence of Moscow. Like in 1945. Gorbachev was accepted by the West at that time, and that it's happened. Paradoxally, Romania, having preserved traditional and nationalist value, did not accept the situation and forced a clear pro-West European and pro-Western Western European and Euro-Atlantic way, because nationalist patriotism and traditional cultural and religious values of the Romanians are compatible with democracy. Communism was built abusively and artificially, using mediocre, abusive, and manipulable people. Communism collapsed when industrial and technological development needed to promote and use more better educated and efficient people. Human intelligence and professionalism become viruses, and that destroyed communism and its ideology from the inside. My generation lived with intensity and with total involvement to rediscovery of democracy with its main values: freedom of thought and expression, dialogue, accurate information. We naturally embraced the values of democracy. We, those who had the chance to be young in 1990, but also marked by the communists, knowing from the inside understood its limits, and in the same time, we also understood its perversity and manipulative power. Even worse, we understood its tenacious subversive method over a long period of the time. These methods have created dedicated followers of the cause, especially among the young generation. The most important liberation and rediscovery from our peoples was the freedom to regain our cultural and religious value. Our expertise, my expertise, is that I understand from direct personal experience and not from theory. What manipulation means in order to understand what the others are the only ones who taught it better, which means also politically correct. We immediately understood and feel the manipulation and the control of freedom of thought and expression that's going behind the natural. Now, we immediately understood the control of the justice system and that it was subordinate on the one-state party. And by this, I mean censorship. We have the expertise to see that many bureaucrats, individuals from justice, mass media, and even from the intelligence service, overstep and abandon their roles in their place in society and form the deep state. It is exactly how it was in communism. The one-state party formed and led by a minority of thought and acting. I observe its limits in communism and the dangers to a society that must develop naturally, healthy, and in harmony. I know exactly this mechanism, and I observe how perverse it is reborn, and even at the level of European Union. The deep state plays with countries and peoples, ignoring tradition and values. In fact, the deep state suspends and minimizes authentic democracy. Attention, please. Neo-Marxism exists and it manifests itself in cross-party now. We understood from democracy that in the European Union and NATO, we are united, respecting our traditional, cultural, and religious diversities with mutual respect. We understand that the German must be German, the French must be French, Romanian must be Romanian, Bulgarian, and so on. Even in the United States, the California or the Texas are different. They have a different cultural. That's my, my perspective, of course. Maybe a little bit forced. We must be aware that within all states, there are increasingly strong currents of resistance to this political correctness, censorship, and propaganda. If the politicians and other forces in society do not realize this is and do not come to meet, naturally, a very short time, extreme fascist or Nazi solution will emerge. They may reappear as a counter-reaction to this new old experiment of neo-Marxism. We already noticed that in the short term, the approach of this politically correctness current of censorship is unproductive and dangerous, even with the justification of the hybrid war. Public opinion in democratic countries is beginning to feel that it's being lied to, manipulate, and paradoxically, there is already an imminent risk of creating the opposite effect, throwing large portion of the population in the arms of extremists. To be clear, they begin to believe Putin is absolutely right. The Hamas is right. Those who are vehemently anti-LGBT are right. That the anti-vaccinists are right, and so on. And then who benefits from this? Please analyze and see that communism was implemented by force after the moments of confusion and crisis. And we are going through multiple moments of crisis from 2000 and to the present. Even if I repeat myself, it is important to realize that communism was based on mediocrity, and that is precisely why it managed to dominate for several decades. Here we have to be careful, because today we are facing communism in another form, which benefits again the infusion of mediocrity, in many political parties. I can understand why our states that we consider it democratic, it's very easy to label some parties as undemocratic or too easy consider it extremist. The very democratic principle of pluralism is violated. Do you really want to end up with truly extremist fascist Nazi party? We fight among ourselves politically in democracy, but the battle is much deeper. President Donald Trump has understood this, and there are also some European leaders who have understood this, too few for now. The real battle is different, actually, between neo-Marxism and traditionally supported naturally through patriotism. Neo-Marxists try to hijack and confiscate the rights and the needs of minorities and impose rules and values on society as a whole by forcing limits. This is exactly what the communists did in the name of the oppressed proletariat. Democracy is perfectible, but it is by far the most valuable asset of the human civilization. Democracy has learned to manage human nature. Peoples, countries, minorities, obviously, individuality, we are different. Within a large or small family, we are different. In society, we are different. In social group, we are different. Only the principles and values of democracy based on moral values and traditions show us to respect each other and our societies. I can do an exercise and consider that neo-Marxists believe they are acting in a good faith. But their method of censorship and propaganda are unacceptable, in effect, incompatible with democracy. We know that the neo-Marxists wants to bring back the one-party state, as we had in communism. They want to do it more subtle now, overall the Western civilization. I cleanly warned them, using the famous expression by Voltaire, the enemy of good is better. Without a deep understanding of our society, without a continuous education in the spirit of critical thinking, without a freedom of the press, without discovering the roots of our national, European, and Euro-Atlantic values, which are based on the nation states, which is sovereign, independent, and indivisible. I say it again, without sovereign nation state, there cannot be European Union and Euro-Atlantics. Let's make democracy great again.